I'd like you to consider a word today, and the word is trust. Again, the word is trust. Webster's dictionary defines the word trust as belief that someone or something is reliable, good, honest, and effective. Webster's dictionary goes on to give a fuller definition of the word trust as assured reliance on the character, ability, strength, or truth of something or someone. And so I'm going to come back to those words and those definitions a moment so that we can peel apart this word trust and find the truth that lays inside of it. But before I do, I'd like to share two powerful quotes that are in the world around this word trust. And the first one comes from the Bible, and it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight." And there's another great quote in the world from Ernest Hemingway. And he says, "The best way to find out if you can trust somebody is to just trust them." And there's some truth that lays inside that last part, is to just trust them. It's the greatest way to see if you can trust somebody or not. But before I continue on, I want to go back to the definitions, because inside definitions lie some real truth. And it says in the definition from Webster's around this word trust, it says a belief or an assured reliance. And then it goes on to say on someone or something that is reliable, good, honest, effective, or someone or something that has character and ability or strength. And so this belief is an important word, but so is the other part that says someone or something. You see, I think that it's very difficult for most people to trust themselves, let alone to put their full trust in someone or something else. And I think that if you were to challenge yourself and to take a moment and see what is your ability to trust in someone or something outside of yourself, that is where a real opportunity for growth will occur for you, because I believe it is a great starting point to lean on someone else or something that's bigger than yourself, and that trust in someone or something that's bigger than yourself will ultimately provide the power necessary for you to trust yourself. So, as I continue on, trust seems to be a pretty shaky element that sits in the fabric of most human interactions. Most people have had trust broken. Most people say, hey, trust is earned, or trust is given, or trust yourself, trust others. Trust can be broken, and trust can be fixed. And trust your actions. Never trust yourself, or never trust somebody else. And there's so much advice and sayings around the word trust that I think it's a very difficult word, or it's a word that can be misused too often. And too oftentimes you may not look at the word as a real growth opportunity, as I said, to trust in someone or something else. And I'm going to come back to that in a moment. But before I do, since most people tend to lean towards you as a starting point to trust in yourself as opposed to someone or something else, you have to say, do you actually trust you? Do you actually trust you? And what evidence do you have that trusting you yields the greatest results for your life? What evidence do you have that trusting you has yielded the greatest results in your life? You see, most people can't trust themselves, and most people, if they're to be honest with themselves, really haven't yielded much good results from themselves. We've all heard people say, hey, trust your gut, trust your instincts. Well, oftentimes that just is bad advice, and oftentimes if that's all that you trust is your guts or your instincts, more than half of the time your guts or instincts may be way off. Or people say trust your heart, just follow your heart, and sometimes that can be faulty advice as well. So you got to be careful of where you're doing. And so trust is built on a foundation. If you can think of trust that way, trust has a foundation and it has walls that will ultimately support you as you move through life. And so your ability to lean into trust, to lean against trust, that trust has to be solid as a rock. That trust has to be solid as a rock. And so I think that you deserve to find out, where can you find the greatest of trust? Where is the biggest rock that you can lean on that is so trustworthy that it is guaranteed to be there and be support for you every single day of every single week for the rest of your life. And I think that ultimately comes from, do you trust that you are born for a purpose? Do you trust that you are born for a purpose? And that you have a passion and that you have talents to fulfill that ultimate purpose for yourself. So, that's where trust begins for me, of trusting in someone or something greater than yourself, that you were born for a purpose, and do you trust that you do have a purpose? Because if you can trust in this, something that sits outside of you, that you came into this world for a very particular purpose and reason, that ultimately becomes a foundation for you to lean against as you move through trusting yourself. And so I know it's a big challenge, but I do want you to realize that I believe, in my experience, that you were born for a very particular purpose, and that is a solid foundation that I know that you can trust. And so before I leave you, I'd like to offer you a few questions to ponder around the word trust. Number one, how has the word trust shaped the way that you live in the world? How has this word trust shaped the way that you live in the world? Number two, how has this word trust shaped the way that you build and grow your personal relationships? How has this word trust shaped the way that you build and grow your personal relationships? Then number three, how can you utilize a new awareness of this word trust to unlock some hidden capacity that still sits inside of you? How could you utilize your new awareness of this word trust to unlock some hidden capacity that still sits inside of you? So I hope that you move to this word trust today. I hope that you realize that you need the ability to lean against someone or something bigger than yourself as a solid foundation of trust to ultimately allow that trust to grow inside of yourself. And always remember to ride the wave of life, and always play big.